bigger threat to win the championship, Sixers or Rockets?
The Rockets are the bigger threat. We saw the Rockets extend the Golden State Warriors last year to 7 games. The 7th game was played at Houston. CP3 didn't play in the game. Everyone missed every shot. They still only lost by single digits. That is a threat. I mean, clearly they were threatening to the Warriors. Who else has threatened the Warriors during this whole dynastic run of theirs since the Cavs beat them, since Durant joined the team? No one. No one's threatened them. No one's put them in a tough series except Houston, who I think should have won that series. I say if CP3 would have been healthy, they'd have won the series. So, who's the bigger threat right now? A Warriors team that returns. Okay, this is obviously assuming CP3 and Clint Capella's health. Largely the same team as last year. Not exactly, I understand, but largely the same team as last year. Or a Sixers team who's been good recently, but inconsistent, particularly in the playoffs because Simmons can't shoot. I'll take the team that almost did it last year.
Philadelphia 76ers. That's my choice. I think they have a better shot of getting to the finals than the Houston Rockets. Number one, I think I'm not underestimating the Oklahoma City thing and how they look. And it's not just because of Russell. I'm not worried about Russell Westbrook in the slightest. By the way, it was good seeing the brother at the UFC fight the other night. They all showed up to Barclays Center after they beat the Sixers on Saturday night. I'm not worried about Paul George. But I look at these guys, Grant and Ferguson, really, really stand out in my mind. The athleticism, the length, the shot-making ability, they're very impressive. And let's give Billy Donovan and Mo Cheeks and that staff a hell of a lot of credit. They're coaching their butts off. And on top of it all, Presti is doing a hell of a job with my boy Troy Weaver and those guys. They've assembled a nice roster. They look good. We can't ignore what we're seeing from Oklahoma City. And I think that they could potentially be a roadblock. And for some reason, Max, in the Western Conference playoffs, other than the creme de la creme, there always seems to be a surprise. The East is predictable. There's always somebody that shows up. Like last year when some people picked Portland, some people picked New Orleans. But we didn't expect Portland to get run out of the building by Anthony Davis. So I want to say that. Let me get to the East. Joel Embiid is a monster.
Yes, he is.
No question. Jimmy Butler is going to be a focal point. I have faith in Elton Brand, their first-year GM. I think he's going to get another player because I love me some J.J. Redick. He's just a pro, and he can shoot the basketball. But the biggest reason is that I'm not sold on the big three in the East. I'm not sold on Boston, Milwaukee, or Toronto. Somebody going to fall. Somebody's going to fall. And even though the Sixers have questionable depth, they don't get me started on this whole damn Markelle Fultz situation. I ain't even got time to get into that. The reality is that if you can get another shooter, if you're the Philadelphia 76ers and you can get another shooter and just let Ben Simmons be the extraordinary playmaker that he is, they can make things very interesting in the Eastern Conference.
Let me say this. In terms of who has a better shot to get to the finals, I understand your logic. One of these two teams plays in the same conference as the Golden State Warriors. That's the best team in basketball.
And we don't know if CP3 is going to be healthy.
Sure.
Those are the two components.
I understand that, but there's another way to look at it.
Okay.
Assuming CP3 health. If we can't assume CP3 health, I can't argue this.
That's right.
I'm assuming CP3 and Clint Capella. In other words, the Rockets. The Rockets are there. Well, I'll tell you what. Their injuries may have occurred in a fortuitous way for the Rockets because maybe they heal up and have just enough runway to get in basketball shape for the playoffs.
After you wear out James Harden, though.
Well, listen, that's
I'm worried about that.
That's right, but maybe Harden could afford to take a step back by the time those guys get healthy. Maybe CP3 should take more than. All right, so the point is this. Golden State's a big, giant obstacle, especially the way they look since Boogie, even playing 18 minutes, whatever. It is a huge obstacle. But again, I will point out, the Rockets came so close to advancing past them last year. Otherwise, the only other threat I see in the West to the Rockets, I don't see Denver as a threat, really. I don't see Utah this year as a threat. I see OKC the way they're playing defense. So that's two teams that the Rockets have to really worry about. Then on the flip side, I see in the Eastern Conference, when I think about who the Sixers are competing against, tell me which one of these teams couldn't beat the Sixers. Boston, I think, would be favored. Milwaukee, probably be favored. Toronto would be favored.
All of them would be favored.
Indy.
No.
I'm not saying they'd be favored.
All right.
I'm saying Indy, if I
they're a threat.
Right, if Indy beat Philly, would I be like, oh my God, I never saw that coming?
No, but the game
That's
does
four
slow.
teams.
The game, I love me some Victor Oladipo, make no mistake about it, but I think that the game is slow. The game slows in the postseason, and I think that works against Indiana, my personal opinion. I think the three that you mentioned will all be favored over the Sixers, but again, and I'm just a stickler for this, Budenholzer doing a hell of a job, hell of a coach. I like Milwaukee's roster. I love the Greek Freak, but I believe that come postseason time, you have to have reliable perimeter shooting.
They do.
And I don't trust that it's going to be there in the postseason. That's all I'm saying about
Well, let's put it this way.
I trust Toronto and Boston.
If you're talking in Milwaukee about Antetokounmpo, and maybe what happened to Ben Simmons last year will happen to him this year, okay, that's one argument. But in terms of Milwaukee's shooting, the way they use the Greek freak, because you got to double him or he bangs it on you. Someone's always open. Budenholzer has the spacing perfect. Everyone's hitting threes.
But you see, the difference in it, again, it's not a right or wrong. It's a difference in philosophy. I think Toronto and Boston are not going to mind being three-point shooters come postseason time. And I think that potentially could work against Milwaukee. That's my thing. That's my thing.